Good morning, Labor Roots, and good morning to all of the comebacks watching from the far you page. Welcome to another episode of Political Hard Talk. I am your host, none other than the greatest Laborite alive, and now the voice of the Westmoreland people. Good morning, my people. Good morning. Good morning to all of the comebacks watching for you page again. Big up to all of my PNP bridging them from Westmoreland. Feel free to join the green team. You know, green mean go and orange means slow, red means stop. See, now today we're going to talk about the savior of Jamaica. You guys would have seen me chronicling a lot of the leaders. I started with Norman Manley and Bustamante. Moved down into the era of Edward Seaga. We'll be moving into the era of Percival James Patterson soon, Portia Sims, Bruce Golden, and then to our noble and best leader, Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Now today we're going to take you back in time again, but before we get into that, I'm not going to do a monologue per se this morning. However, I do have a message for the Jamaican people. Before I get into that message, I'm going to roll out the shoutouts. After rolling out the shoutouts, guys, I have some very positive news for Jamaica by way of 2 clips, and then we will get into the segment of the most honorable, right excellent in my view, Edward George Philip Seaga. See, who is one of my idols, by the way. We cannot say the same thing for Bucky Massa. Good morning, Marva. So let's get into it, guys. Big up to all of my people them over YouTube. I posted the Diego video last night on YouTube, and persons are having a jolly good time at laughing at Diego over there on my YouTube channel. So guys, it's been up for like 7 hours now. Please share, please like, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and don't be afraid to share it to your PNP friend them, to make them see how stupid Diego is as a comrade. Any comrade that has come onto this platform are yet to answer any questions correctly would like a very intelligent comrade to come on the live one of these days, so we can have a compatible, a very viable conversation with great minds. Anyways, roll out the shout out. Good morning, Sparkle of Diamond out there in #1 gifter this morning. Wiley in #2, Samara in #3, Marva Samuels in #4. Big up yourself in a Ice Diamond. A long time I don't see you. If I see him, Ice. See? Christopher Christie, big up yourself. Cheryl Ferguson, big up yourself. Dex One, big up yourself. But Wise, big up yourself. Denise Brown Vessel, big up yourself. Rupert Mighty, big up yourself. Glenn Ford Darkins, big up yourself. Sir Darkins. Renard Gale, big up yourself. Grimsby Girl, big up yourself. Anybody will not hear them name is not yet showing up in the watch list. See? However, the For You page is growing. I don't know where the labor right them there this morning. Well, it is Sunday. We normally slow to start on a Sunday. Mr. Pang, I see you liking up the live and gifting up the live. Big up yourself, Mr. Pang, always. See? Let's get into it. So, first good news story this Sunday. We want to bring some good news to the Jamaican people. Jamaica continue to grow. Jamaica continue to do great things. The PNP them can't stand it because the greater we are is the more likelihood of it's the more likely vagina of we staying in government. See? So first good news story of today, and then we're gonna move into something else. Then we kick off the segment with Papa Eddy. So we are give the labor them little time for wake up this morning. So here we go.
Jamaica exporting fuel oil to Trinidad?
For the first time ever, Jamaica Petrojam is exporting fuel to Trinidad and Tobago. And to that we're looking to a million barrels of fuel oil, valued at about 90 million US.
Did he just say 1 million barrels? That's Telroy Morgan, the general manager at Petrojam, Jamaica's oil refinery. Now, Jamaica actually doesn't produce oil, but Trinidad does. So this announcement took me completely by surprise. But apparently, Petrotrin has been down since like 2019.
Trinidad, who has oil, their refinery shuttered about 6 years ago, and so they have been importing. But over those many years, Petrojam has been trying to get in, so to speak, and it has finally happened.
Well, that explains Trinidad's foreign exchange issues. They produce oil, but they don't refine it anymore, so they're exporting it raw and about to buy it back refined from Jamaica. Apparently, this batch is some special marine fuel, though.
It's a fuel mainly for marine vessels, tankers.
But still, the optics. In my opinion, this signals a power shift in CARICOM, which has been at least 10 years in the making. And that's probably why, according to Telroy, this deal took so long. I think Trinidad didn't want to do it. Now, Trinidad and Jamaica have always been competitors, and the Trinis are going to hate me for saying this, but these last 10 years, Trinidad's economy has been on the decline, while Jamaica has been improving. One of the major issues with doing business in Jamaica, especially for manufacturers, has always been the high cost of energy. Trinidad has always had that advantage. But are the roles now reversing? Remember my Taking Stock interview with Marla Dukaran? She's an economist from Trinidad who was explaining their foreign exchange issues.
The energy sector has not been earning the kind of foreign currency that it used to, say, let's say back in the 70s, 80s, even back up to 2013. We're earning a lot less now for a couple of reasons. One is the international price of these commodities, but also because of our production being very weak.
Wow, this really explains a lot. And then, of course, you have the new kid on the block when it comes to oil, Guyana. They're exporting barrels by the millions now, to the point where their government is literally giving away money to babies.
Our government will provide a one-off grant of $100,000 for every newborn baby born in Guyana to a Guyanese mother.
And you can see the conversions here. That's about 75K JMD, 3,200 TTD, or 477 US dollars. Must be nice. By the way, Guyana doesn't have a refinery either, so that's also an opportunity for Jamaica and Petrojam. Anyway, to wrap this all up, the power dynamics in CARICOM are changing. As investors in this region, you need to make note of these shifts so you can spot the opportunities and the risks. And that's the bottom line. Follow our business page at Money Media JA for more content like this, and subscribe to the newsletter at getmoneynews.com. That's getmoneynews.com. Comment newsletter and I'll send you the link. Let's get this money.
Let's get this money.
So Jamaica, you see, when we have good managers of, of our affairs, the tide can really turn, because Trinidad, who is a oil-rich country, Jamaica is now rising above that oil-rich country. They sell oil, and now we are going to have to refine their own oil and sell it back to them. You know why? Because they have not made good financial decisions, just like Jamaica did not make good financial decisions back during the time of the People's National Criminal Organization. Now, when it comes to the PNCO, see, and their leader, Mark Golding, the PNCO, has a doctrine where they want to keep us Jamaicans poor because it benefits them that sits at the top, that 1% that sits at the top. They continue to be rich. We would have seen Mark Golding and Peter the Grunting Bunting, silently owning and running a business called Rerum, selling rice and flour to the Jamaican people. And ever so often, see, $10 or $5 Ghana pan rice and flour. See, why didn't they, in that time, put down the prices? Because they are the ones who is bringing it in container loads in Jamaica. Why didn't they put down the price for the Jamaican people? No, they chose to profit off the backs of the poor. They have been doing that since 1990s, during the Finzac era. They profited off the back of poor Jamaicans. However, let's move on. We got more great news, you know, as it relates to our government and what is going on in Jamaica. I'll give you guys a brief rundown, a pantily rundown. We're gonna deal with brief of a PNP. See, people like Gay Brian and them man there, and Gay Stevens and Gay Caution and Gay Sydney and them people there. But however, this is not coming from me, by the way, guys. This is an international source. So you can't say me a fuel propaganda or me I work for my government, which I am. But this is not coming from me directly. So listen up, Jamaica. I want to share out the life, guys. Labor rights, share the life.
From Kingston to Montego Bay, Jamaica is undergoing an incredible transformation.
I remember just going on the source. The source on YouTube is called ACB King TV. This is a foreign channel. It is not a Jamaican channel.
In this video, you'll witness some of the most exciting infrastructure projects currently in progress. Projects that will reshape everything from roads to energy and tourism. Want to know how these changes will impact Jamaica's economy and your future vacation plans? Keep watching to find out. Don't forget to hit subscribe and stay tuned for all the latest updates on Jamaica's journey to greatness. Number 1. New Kingston, 3-phase development. One of the most ambitious projects currently underway is the New Kingston 3-phase development. Located in the heart of Jamaica's business and commercial district, New Kingston is undergoing a major transformation. This multi-phase project is set to reshape the area, providing a mix of office spaces, luxury apartments, retail centers, and public spaces. As Kingston is the capital and the economic hub of Jamaica, this development aims to meet the increasing demand for modern, sustainable living and working spaces. This project stands out for its focus on sustainability. The developers are integrating eco-friendly technologies and energy-efficient systems, making the area not just luxurious, but also environmentally conscious. Green building standards and smart city technology will make New Kingston a model for future developments across the country. By blending modern infrastructure with sustainable living, this project will cater to the needs of a growing population while being mindful of climate change and rapid urbanization. Additionally, public transportation and local services will be enhanced as part of the development, making it easier for residents and businesses to move around.
And by the way, guys, our government has purchased another 100 JUTC buses, and they'll be rolling out this year. You know, sometime this year, I believe just before June, just before the back to school, this year in July or in August, you know. But I believe they'll be on the island by June, you know, to get prepared and get distributed all over the island. And by the way, the government is rolling out an island-wide bus system. There'll be new buses to come. You'll soon be able to get a JUTC bus from Kingston all the way to Montego Bay, from Kingston all the way to Savlamar. See? But or all the way to Negril, or from Moran Pine to Negril Pine. But that is the aim of our government, you know. And big up yourself, Mr. Chantel. Good morning. You might learn something this morning, my boy. So, just sit down, draw up a chair, you know, and sit down the back of your class and don't blow no vuvuzela. Because when you not blow vuvuzela, you can't hear the information that is disseminated. However, you know, just draw close and listen to this, Mr. Chantel. Good morning again.
This will not only transform New Kingston itself, but will also impact surrounding areas, creating a ripple effect that leads to further infrastructure development. Set to be completed by 2025, this project is a perfect example of how Jamaica is blending modernity with sustainability to create a livable, future-ready urban environment. Number 2. Montego Bay Perimeter Road Project. Jamaica's second-largest city, Montego Bay, is a major tourist destination, known for its vibrant resorts, stunning beaches, and rich cultural experiences. However, it has faced challenges with heavy traffic congestion, especially around the airport and key tourist areas. The Montego Bay Perimeter Road Project aims to tackle this problem by improving the city's road network, particularly the area around the airport, resorts, and commercial zones. One of the highlights of this project is the construction of Jamaica's longest bridge, stretching a staggering 14.9 kilometers. This bridge will ease traffic congestion and open up new areas for development, benefiting both residents and visitors by providing better access to key locations such as hotels, tourist attractions, and shopping areas. The project will make Montego Bay even more accessible and attractive to both business and leisure travelers. This project is more than just about improving roads. It's about enhancing Montego Bay's infrastructure to meet the demands of its growing economy and tourism sector. As the city becomes more connected, it will strengthen its position as one of the Caribbean's top destinations. With the perimeter road set to be completed by 2025, the project will ensure that Montego Bay remains a hub for both tourism and business for years to come. Number 3. Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. Jamaica's Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project is another key development that will significantly impact the island's transportation infrastructure. This project focuses on improving the roadways between Kingston and the southern coast, making travel easier and faster. The highway will be expanded, new bridges will be built, and safety features will be added, ensuring smoother and safer journeys for everyone. The improved highway will provide easier access to some of Jamaica's most beautiful and popular tourist spots, including Negril, Black River, and the Pelican Bar. This will not only benefit tourists, who will enjoy more seamless travel to these famous attractions, but also local communities along the southern coast, who will have better access to services like healthcare, education, and business opportunities. Once completed in 2025, the Southern Coastal Highway will be a game changer for Jamaica's tourism industry. It will make the southern coast more accessible to travelers and boost the local economies by creating new opportunities. This project also supports the broader vision of developing Jamaica into a modern, efficient, and attractive destination for both tourism and business. Number 4. Jamaica Public Service, JPS, Solar Project. As part of Jamaica's commitment to sustainability and reducing carbon emissions, the government is investing heavily in solar energy. The Jamaica Public Service, JPS, solar projects are set to expand the use of solar power across the country, with installations planned for public buildings, schools, and commercial properties. The aim is to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, lower energy costs, and contribute to global efforts to fight climate change. Jamaica's current energy needs are met mainly by imported fossil fuels, which are not only costly, but also have a significant environmental impact. By increasing the use of solar energy, Jamaica hopes to lower its energy bills, reduce its dependence on imported oil, and improve its energy security. This transition to renewable energy will also create new job opportunities in the green energy sector, helping to boost the local economy. These projects, expected to be completed between 2025 and 2027, will make Jamaica a leader in renewable energy in the Caribbean. Not only will they help the country achieve its environmental goals, but they will also provide economic benefits by creating jobs and reducing energy costs for businesses and residents alike. Number 5. Norman Manley International Airport Expansion. Jamaica's tourism industry is a key driver of the economy, and a major part of this success is the Norman Manley International Airport, NMIA, which serves as the main gateway for international visitors. To meet the growing demand for air travel, the airport is undergoing a massive expansion. The upgrades will include a larger terminal, better parking facilities, and improved passenger services to enhance the overall travel experience. Once completed in 2026, the expansion will allow NMIA to handle more flights, passengers, and cargo, making it more efficient and comfortable for travelers. The new facilities will make Jamaica even more attractive as a destination for both tourism and business. This project is crucial for ensuring that Jamaica remains competitive in the global tourism market and can continue to support the growing number of international visitors. Number 6. Energy Efficiency and Solar Power Project. Another major initiative to improve Jamaica's energy sector is the Energy Efficiency and Solar Power Project. This project involves the installation of solar panels on government buildings and making energy-efficient upgrades to reduce overall energy consumption. It's part of Jamaica's larger goal of transitioning to renewable energy and reducing its dependence on fossil fuels. Expected to be completed by 2026, the project will significantly reduce Jamaica's energy bills while cutting greenhouse gas emissions. The move to solar power will not only lower costs for the government, but also create a more sustainable energy system for the island. By investing in solar energy, Jamaica is positioning itself as a regional leader in clean, renewable energy. Number 7. Logistics Hub Expansion. Jamaica is also working to strengthen its position in global trade with a major expansion of its logistics hub. The project will enhance port facilities and improve logistics infrastructure to better handle the growing volume of trade that Jamaica is involved in, especially in the Caribbean supply chain. By increasing capacity and efficiency, Jamaica will be able to handle more trade, supporting the island's economic growth. Set to be completed by 2028, the expansion will create thousands of jobs and open up new opportunities in trade, business, and logistics. This project is vital for ensuring Jamaica's place as a key player in international trade and helping to secure long-term economic growth for the island. These transformative infrastructure projects reflect Jamaica's commitment to building a more sustainable, connected, and prosperous future. Whether it's improving transportation networks, boosting energy efficiency, or enhancing tourism and logistics, these projects will have a lasting impact on the island's economy and quality of life. With many of these projects set to be completed in the next few years, Jamaica is poised for a brighter, more sustainable future. Keep an eye on these exciting developments and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on Jamaica's growth and transformation.
So I gave this method to my friend and she was able to get her channel to 1.7.
So that is Jamaica developing, moving from poverty to prosperity. Jamaicans. I mean, say something too, no? Without a good, great functioning economy, our people will continue to suffer. And our government has realized this and they are moving to strengthen all of these things so that us, the Jamaican people, can live a better, more fulfilling life. Something that the PNP feel to do. A lot of these things that Andrew Holness is now doing should have happened 20 odd years, 30 odd years even ago. You know, the PNP, the People's National Criminal Organization, the PNCO, has failed the Jamaican people miserably. Now, I also have some more good news. So for my people them listening from Westmoreland, I have seen blueprints. Yes, I have seen blueprints for a large, very brand new wing at the Savlamar Hospital. You know, and that work is going to be done in under 3 years because it is an emergency. And, you know, persons in Savlamar are still complaining that there's no beds and persons have to be sitting on chairs. So the government has recognized this. You know, for the 19 years that the PNP was in power, they did not build a new wing at the Savlamar Hospital. And in that 19 years, our population had grown significantly. So yes, I have seen blueprints for a brand spanking new large wing at the Savlamar Hospital, among other things. Also, the clinic at the Savlamar will also be closed down. I believe they're going to roll over it and build a brand spanking new state-of-the-art one. See? Also, yes, here Jamaica will be back in the future. See? So we must keep this government in place, guys. See? We must keep this government in place. We must not allow the PNCO to come back to government. See? The emphasis is in the CO, criminal organization. Blessings in the Father. Chopper. See? Good morning. Father Raga, me see as well, good morning. And good morning to all of the persons that was telling me good morning while the clip was being played. Now, let's move into, you know, this segment. You know, the live is growing. Persons, please share the live. Get me to 10k likes, please. And let's move into how His Right Excellent Edward George Philip Seaga, who I believe should be placed as a national hero in short order, you know, had saved the Jamaican people from communism, you know. He built back Jamaica within 12 months of Michael Manley completely obliterating the Jamaican economy and completely plunging the Jamaican people into desperation and poverty. Now, let's get into it.
Would enable us to line up the financial support that we need for year one and to a certain extent for parts of year 2 and year 3.
Also, the foreign exchange budget for 1981 is to be increased by 27% over last year, with 44% more foreign exchange provided for food imports and 33% more for importation of raw materials. Confirmation of funds for the closing of the foreign exchange gap for 1981 to 82 came with the pledging of some $350 million from several donor countries and international institutions at a meeting held in Kingston, Jamaica on March 11th. The provision of these funds was contingent on assistance from the International Monetary Fund. On April 22nd, just an agreement totaling some $698 million.
Will recall that last November I indicated that the government had opened discussions with the International Monetary Fund for a 3-year extended fund facility arrangement. In a press release on April 1st, I informed the nation that the management of the fund had recommended such an arrangement subject to approval by the fund's executive board. It gives me great pleasure to be able to announce that the board at its meeting on April 13th approved the agreement. And in this connection, I have the honor to table Ministry Paper number 9 of 1981 containing the relevant documentation. This agreement with the International Monetary Fund has been characterized by me as a positive one. It does not contain any provision for, 1, devaluation of the Jamaican dollar. 2, cut back on public sector employment. Or 3, curtailment of specific programs. All these were features of previous agreements between the IMF and the government of Jamaica.
The success of the government in securing both short-term financing and financing for the 1981-82 budget in such a short period of time is a significant achievement. But Prime Minister Seaga has emphasized that the nation cannot borrow its way out of problems. We must earn our way out of our economic crisis. In order to achieve real growth and development in the country, to create jobs, increase exports, and improve standards of living, there must be a massive injection of capital investment, much of which will have to come from abroad. The new government, in a very short period of time, has succeeded in creating a good climate for new investment. A good rapport has been established with the local private sector, and the government has outlined the dynamic and critical role which this group is expected to play in the drive for economic recovery. The new climate of confidence has also attracted overseas investors. From as early as a few weeks after the elections, teams have been arriving in the island to assess the country's investment potential. Indeed, the response from both local and foreign investors has been very encouraging. Within the first 100 days in office, the government, through the Jamaica National Investment Corporation, the JNIC, the single agency designated for registering investment inquiries, received inquiries involving 114 projects, 47 local and 67 foreign, valued at $310 million. These projects range from garment and furniture manufacturing to fishing and cigar manufacturing. An example of the interest now being generated is the visit of a group of businessmen from Tampa, Florida. They met with the Prime Minister and local private leaders. It was decided to establish a hotline between Kingston and Florida to facilitate the flow of investment inquiries. On a broader level, Prime Minister Seaga has himself been active in securing investment capital for the growth and development of our economy. While on a mission to Washington and New York in early December, Mr. Seaga called for the development of a Marshall Plan type approach to the social and economic problems of the Caribbean and Central America, a program similar to that which rehabilitated countries of Western Europe after the Second World War. He pointed out that inflows to this region were presently only 1.3 billion US dollars, and that if this was increased to 3 billion US dollars, it would significantly improve economic and social conditions. One of the significant events having a positive impact on our economy was the visit of Prime Minister Seaga to President Reagan in January. Mr. Seaga had the distinction of being the first head of state to be invited to meet with the new president.
Foreign visitors. The President's invitation to the newly elected Prime Minister emphasized not only the close ties that exist between the two nations, but also the importance Mr. Reagan ascribes to hemisphere relations. The Prime Minister and his wife were formally greeted on the South Lawn by President and Mrs. Reagan, as well as by Vice President and Mrs. George Bush, and Secretary of State and Mrs. Alexander Haig. After the ceremonies, the two leaders conferred privately. They were then joined by government and business leaders for a state luncheon. There, the President paid tribute to his visitor.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would ask that you join me in a toast to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mrs. Seaga, and to the friendship and alliance that are renewed here today, and to the common endeavor to preserve the peace, independence, and freedom of this country.
The Prime Minister, in turn, acknowledged the importance of the occasion.
It has been a great honor for my wife, myself, and my delegation to have been the first invitees of your new administration to Washington on an official visit. As a nation, economically and politically, we are arthritic. We have inherited the malady, and it is a malady that is going to take time to cure. Our concept of policy in this matter is one which directs to the possibility of developing greater flows in trade and in finance. Flows that will move capital and technology across the border to the economic development and betterment and mutual betterment of our people.
The success of Mr. Seaga's visit here was perhaps best summed up in the words President Reagan had used as he bid farewell to the Prime Minister and his wife following their state luncheon at the White House.
And I'm delighted to start off my presidency with this first visit. I can assure him, and indeed all countries, that the United States will continue to respect peaceful political change that in this instance offers great hope for freedom. I assured the Prime Minister that he could count on American support for his objectives, especially in his efforts to expand his country's private sector. Mr. Prime Minister, we're honored to have you as America's first foreign visitor in our administration. And let me express my personal hope that the first shall not be last.
The Prime Minister's meeting with President Reagan achieved the setting up of two high-powered committees, one in the U.S. and the other in Jamaica, to promote the smooth flow of investment and technology between the two countries.
Would enable us to structure a mechanism which is new, a mechanism by which the private sector in the United States would undertake
to work together with the private sector in Jamaica for the development of the country economically and to increase the capital transfers that can come from private flows on a much larger scale than any aid flows can accomplish. And at the same time, to increase the transfer of technology that can come from private sources.
Shortly after Prime Minister Seaga's return, the U.S. Business Committee on Jamaica was announced. It is headed by Mr. David Rockefeller, chairman of Chase Manhattan Bank. Now, the members of this committee include heads of some of the largest corporations of the U.S., Exxon, Alcoa, Kaiser, to name a few. The Prime Minister's Committee on Foreign Investment and Employment is headed by Mr. Carlton Alexander, former president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica and the chief executive of the Grace Kennedy Group of Companies. The two committees held their first meeting on Friday, March 6th at Jamaica House in Kingston. At this meeting, Mr. Rockefeller observed that Jamaica held great potential for development and promised the full support of his committee in assisting Jamaica. It was decided that the two committees are to split up in subcommittees for work in special areas, and that they are to meet from time to time to determine areas for investment and investors most suitable for participation. Both teams will do the necessary background studies to expedite the flow of investment. The Jamaica National Investment Corporation is to be the Jamaican Secretariat to work with the Secretariat of the U.S. Businessmen's Committee. Mr. Seaga's visit to Washington also resulted in a boost for the tourist industry. In meetings with President Reagan, it was agreed that there would be an amendment to the U.S.-Jamaica Taxation Treaty to allow business conventions coming to Jamaica to get tax relief for their stay here. This is now before the U.S. Senate for approval. While the government seeks to attract foreign capital, it has recognized that we must make sure that these resources are put to work effectively. We must ensure that mismanagement and waste do not take place. In just 3 months of operation, the government reduced the gap in our fiscal budget by 70 million Jamaican dollars and is looking at ways to further reduce this deficit, which in 1980 to 81 is $240 million. The goal is to eliminate this over a 3-year period by imposing tough measures, including the ending of waste of public funds, tighter controls of expenditure, and improved revenue collection. Government is also divesting itself of several public companies, which over the past 5 years have lost between $450 and $500 million. The actions of the government over the first 3 months, the securing of long-term credit and the opening up of investment opportunities, have laid the foundations for a sound economic base and have put Jamaica on the road to economic recovery. The first 3 months have also seen direct action being taken to improve individual areas of the economy. Agriculture has received special attention. New incentive prices are now being given to cane farmers and manufacturers of sugar, and funds have been allocated to improve cane roads. The government is also exploring ways to improve the management of the sugar cooperatives. Efforts are being made to revitalize the banana industry, and the $20 million rehabilitation program resulting from the damage of Hurricane Allen has been provided. Financing has been provided for the citrus industry by government guarantee, and major expansion program has started in the coffee industry. The Agricultural Marketing Corporation, the AMC, is now being studied with a view to establishing a marketing intelligence network, and markets are being sought both locally and abroad. Another area which has received prompt attention is the construction industry, an important employer of labor, which has declined drastically over the last 5 years. Government has taken steps to deal with cement production problems, and the return of confidence in the economy has brought about renewed interest in the industry. In fact, the Master Builders Association has estimated that in 1981, it will be possible to achieve some $450 million in construction, as against $275 million in 1980, and that industry will employ 11,000 more workers in 1981 than in 1980. Immediate steps have also been taken to ease the unemployment situation, with $2 million being allocated for new roadwork programs for the months of February and March. Financing has also been provided for a special youth employment program to help young people, many of whom have been without jobs for a period of years. $1 million have been made available, which will provide for some 8,000 jobs through the Ministry of Youth and Community Development. The revival of the economy will depend to a large extent on the existence of a stable and secure society. The whole question of national security has been seriously examined, and steps have been taken to equip the police force to deal effectively with crime and violence. Through the importation of spare parts, 150 more vehicles have been brought into service, and 35 Land Rovers and 50 cars have been bought through bilateral agreements. This has increased the mobile strength of the police to 857 vehicles, the highest level achieved in many years. Since coming into office, the new government has also taken steps to ensure that the rights of the individual are respected and maintained. A contractor general is to be established to ensure that contracts are awarded on a fair basis and work properly done. An impartial broadcasting commission is also to be established to prevent political abuse and manipulation of the media. Some 916 members of statutory boards have been appointed on the basis of their ability to do the job rather than by party affiliation. The Prime Minister has also appointed a Civil Service Commission, Public Service Commission, and Judicial Commission after consultation and agreement with opposition leader Michael Manley. These actions demonstrate the government's commitment to human rights and justice for all, a major platform in their pre-election campaign. While securing a sound economic base and laying the foundations for an equitable society, the government has taken strong initiatives in foreign policy aimed at returning us to a balanced ideological position. Jamaica has sought to strengthen links with traditional partners while maintaining a truly non-aligned position and cementing bonds of friendship with third world countries. Prime Minister Seaga's invitation to be the first head of state to visit President Reagan is evidence of the central position which the country holds in the Caribbean. The prompt response to our economic needs by our traditional friends is also an indication of the goodwill on their part. At the same time, the government has called for a good relationship with Cuba on a government-to-government basis, without interference in domestic. maintained diplomatic relations with that country. The government also maintains relations with the Soviet Union, and talks are in progress regarding aid from this country in the areas of housing and agro-industries. In international forums, the Jamaican government has reaffirmed its commitment to the non-aligned movement and the African, Caribbean, and Pacific grouping. In outlining the country's position at the meeting of non-aligned foreign ministers in New Delhi, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Shearer clearly stated that Jamaica will be in the front line in the struggle for better terms of trade and the reform of the international economic system. The initiatives in foreign policy, the steps taken to stimulate new investment and revive the economy, and the efforts made to protect the rights of the individual all point to the creation of a new society, a well-ordered, stable society which promises change without chaos, economic prosperity and justice for all the people. This is the goal. But there are problems ahead. This government has shown in its short life that it is willing to tackle problems as they arise. In anticipation of redundancies which may occur as a result of the reorganization of businesses, specifically public enterprises, government has set up a committee with the private sector. The aim is to absorb as many persons in the private sector as possible. In response to escalating rentals and complaints about abuses of tenants by landlords, government has ordered that all rents be rolled back to October 1980. These are just two examples of prompt response to specific concerns.
So guys, the audio cut out there, so. And, you know, a lot of the stuff that happened in the 1980s, you know, we are now seeing, you know, almost mirror happening today with a lot more added to that. You know, Edward Seaga had managed to build back the Jamaican economy within 12 months of gaining power. You know, I would say even 9 months of gaining power. You know, he was able to use his privilege, you know, his skin tone, and to sit in the big seats with the big boys and got the aid, you know, while taking a neutral position. He was friends with everyone at the time, like Andrew Holness is friends with everyone today. You know, the PNP has chosen to take sides every single time. Sorry, the PNCO has chosen to take sides every time they come to power. You know, and that has proven to be detrimental to our cause as a Jamaican people. Also, I've noticed while disseminating this information, a lot of labor rights opted to leave the life. You know, guys, we must spread these things and make people know. The youth, they don't know about these things, you know. See? And as far as they are concerned, the Jamaica Labour Party is the enemy and Edward Seaga is evil, because that is what I hear in Westmoreland. Because a lot of Westmorelites don't know that is actually Edward Seaga who saved the Jamaican people from going down the road of Cuba and Vietnam and a lot of other these, all of these, Venezuela, a lot of these Soviet countries who are living in abject poverty today. Guys, they are reporting my life every single morning like clockwork. They might report my life. See? So, you know, these countries, and by the way, I promised you guys yesterday that I would have told you what is going on in Cuba. See? And Jamaican mom. Big up yourself, Jamaican man. Big up for your follow. You know? And if we never had Edward Seaga fighting the cause of the Jamaican people. Now, you have a lot of people that like to say he was CIA or he was working with CIA or whatever. If he was working with CIA, he did a good thing to bring back the Jamaican people, because we are not ideologically communist people. You know, from our very inception, we are, you know, a mixed economy. We are capitalists. We are, you know, we are everything. You know, today under this government, Jamaica is a more liberal society. You know, we are more liberal, if you don't understand what that means. You know, but It is working for the Jamaican people. Jamaica continue to grow. We continue to give you guys the information. You guys now are charged to spread the word, you know. But hold on. Alright, listen to this, Jamaica. And this is the road that Jamaica would have ended up in. You know, should we had gone communist, the Jamaican people would have suffered greatly.
Cubans have been accustomed to standing in line for basic goods for decades, but after 4 years of a deep economic crisis, scarcity on the island has become even more acute. Right now in Havana, long lines of cars snake outside petrol stations because there's not enough fuel. Meanwhile, agriculture production on the island has plummeted in recent years because there's no longer enough money to import fertilizer. Now, all of these things end up reducing Cubans' access to food, which is running into major difficulties. Now, for the first time in history, the Cuban government, which trumpets food security as one of the main achievements of the revolution, has asked the UN World Food Programme to help it get milk to the island's children.
Children are supposed to get 3 kilograms of milk a month, but now they are only giving 1.5 kilograms a month.
Milk. I can't remember the last time I drank milk. It's very expensive.
Although we have difficulties, we're still alive, like we Cubans say.
As far as milk is concerned, Cuban children are very privileged compared to other children in the world.
Before they used to give 2.3 kilos of rice per person per month. Now they give nearly half a kilo of rice per person per month. And that's when it's available.
Cubans have lived under tough US sanctions for well over half a century. And yet, ever since 1962, the Cuban state has ensured that every child in this land has access to milk. Today, every child up to the age of 7 is supposed to receive 3 kilograms of powdered milk every month. Now, that's one of the reasons why UNICEF, a little over a decade ago, declared that Cuba was the only country in Latin America and the Caribbean to have eliminated severe child malnutrition. But in recent years, amongst the population at large, malnutrition has increased while hunger has returned. Ed Augustin, Al Jazeera, Havana, Cuba.
On the surface, the streets of Havana haven't changed. Vibrant, bright, and colorful. But life for Cubans here is lackluster since the COVID pandemic. One only has to enter a state-run corner shop where basic goods such as flour and oil are sold.
Today they have sugar.
In his hand he holds a libreta, or ration card. This system, established after the revolution, enables citizens to receive subsidized food and supplies.
This is from last year. There was a lot more. Rice, sugar, beans, butter. We used to have it all. Now there's not much. There's only this.
Jimmy works as a bicycle taxi driver. He takes us around the city.
This is the heart of Old Havana.
Until recently, this work secured him a revenue of a few hundred euros per month, which he shared with his brother and nieces.
How was school?
But since the pandemic, working 7 days a week is barely enough to feed his family.
A pound of rice used to cost 5 Cuban pesos. Now it's 200.
And how do people make it?
They negotiate. They work hard. Many go abroad to the United States to send their pay back to their families, like their mother who left 2 years ago.
Adiós. Adiós.
Yes. That's how it goes.
So how has one of the last communist countries let prices soar to this breaking point? The collapse of tourism, the primary source of revenue for the island, was the start of the crisis. The number of...
Well, thank God for Edward George Philip Seaga, who saved us from going down the road of communism, because because of Cuba and their ideology, the people of Cuba continue to suffer till this day. See? Some 70 years later, the people of Cuba continue to suffer. You know? And we must thank the great man, Edward George Philip Seaga, for not allowing Michael Manley to take Jamaica down that road. No, you gotta see people like Kowa. I want next idiot when I see a person. When I know ambition, when you're mad, crucial, or whatever. Them the people, they don't have no ambition. They don't love Jamaica. They not even love themselves. You know, when they are breed with nice clean air. When you go and go jump off of somewhere, man, jump off a Blue Mountain on a cliffside or something. See? When you don't have no sense. You know, when you're a leader, you lead for everybody. You cannot make because of your ideology. You know, you bring the country down a road where people are going to suffer. People not going to have food to eat. See? Now, I've sent a request to one of the comment warriors. See? And guess what? Yes, you guys have guessed it right. Not answering. Why? Have nothing to say. Nothing more than a petulant dunce. See? You can get up, you know, and be rebellious. All I know want. You see me I say, but guess what? You can't fight against the government. You're not going to lose every single time. See? You block them off of my live moderator. Since we invite them to come in a debate and they're not coming in the debate, then serve no purpose. So, block them off our live, please. Moderators. But today, the Cuban people continue to suffer because, you know, the Cuban people, the Cuban government, you know, because of their ideological belief, you know. And I believe eventually there'll be another revolution in Cuba. There'll be another, you know, taking over of government eventually, because when people get hungry, them get desperate, you know. Today we are not experiencing any more of that in Jamaica, but during the Michael Manley era, would have seen food rationing, you know, would have seen, you know, persons being malnourished. You know, our kids back in that time, you know, were giving bulla and milk. We come from Cuba. You know, we would have seen the introduction of chicken back. Later on in life, we would have seen the introduction of fish back. You know, these are all things that happen under the PNP. At no point in time under Jamaica Labour Party government have we seen malnutrition, mismanagement of government funds. You know, the Jamaican people has always strived under Jamaica Labour Party government. Always, we have always strived. You know, and that is testament in itself, you know, to say that under the leadership and the management of Andrew Holness, Jamaica is much, much better off for it today, you know, and we must continue to endeavor to keep them there. You know, we must keep them there for the foreseeable future, because even a PNP today can tell you that they do not see anybody to lead the PNP. There's nobody there that can put up a fight against this government, and they must step aside. I believe that the PNP should not even contest the next general election. They should step aside until they find a leader. You know? Do we need an opposition in Jamaica? Yes, we do. I am a Democrat, and I believe that as long as power is threatened, my government will have to continue to do right by the people of Jamaica. You know? And I believe there's a need for a functioning proper opposition party. You know, like I see an article this morning when I woke up of the opposition demanding to know the plans for what the government have for persons that's gonna get deported from America. Is that opposition? Is that something the opposition should be doing? What is that? Can they not find something to do? You know why they can't talk about security? Because this government has made great strides in security, just like in Edward Seaga's time. They cannot talk about agriculture anymore because this government has pumped money into agriculture, just like in Seaga's time. They cannot talk about the youths not getting works and education because in their time they have failed the youths. And just like in Papa Eddy's time, Andrew Holness is making sure that the youths are taken care of because they are truly the future of Jamaica. If we can manage to educate and grow youth them properly, Jamaica, then we're going to end up with a future like Cuba. See? We'll have a lot of doctors and nurses, but not a lot of nothing else. See? So we have to continue to tell people them the truth. And the truth is, you know, you have persons who would rather to see Jamaica burn to the ground. They'd rather to see Jamaica in the ashes. So the PNP can rule over the ashes than to allow the continual development of Jamaica. You see me I say? This current crop of opposition leader, opposition party, while is the absolute worst that Jamaica has ever seen. They're scummy. The leader is an absolute scumbag. The deputy leader is an absolute scumbucket. You know, they are slimy, they are grimy, they come like fish guts and fish scale and dog shit and smell like out of Boga Montego Bay. They smell worse than Riverton dump. See? And they look worse than Angela Brownberg teeth them. See? These current sets of opposition, they are not patriots. They are the worst thing that ever happened to the Jamaican people. And should we elect them, oh good God Almighty, the Jamaican people shall suffer. And remember, so we did tell you no. There are a whole set of invertebrates. See? No, what you say, Mr. Chantel, about my behavior don't dictate what other people do. See? No, me not get no confirmation of that in Action Jackson. Jackson, me hear say it happen, but the last me check, Lawrence Rowe was being afforded security by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. He had 3 police officers moving with him at times. So me don't know if, you know, those officers were discharged of their duty. And you know, but I am hearing a bit of inkling that Lawrence Rowe was stabbed. I chose not to say anything about it this morning because it is not confirmed. And you know how Jamaican people then stay, they love rumor. See? So we are waiting to hear nationwide this morning to hear if nothing goes so or whatever. You know, but we continue to celebrate our leaders, Edward Seaga. If only the Jamaican people knew the sacrifice that Edward Seaga had made for the Jamaican people. He's the reason why we are living a good life today. He has set the foundation. And the PNP had gone and tried to destroy it the best they could in the 1990s. You know, destroying Edward Seaga's legacy was a big part of why FinZac was. Because Edward Seaga has managed to build back the Jamaica banking system and build a powerful banking sector, you know. And, you know, these people who believe in communism and believe in bullshit, you know, they sought to try to dismantle his legacy. But they have actually made his legacy stronger, you know. So today, under Andrew Holness-led government, we have many things to celebrate. Many things. You know, Andrew Holness would have born, like I keep saying, after an independent Jamaica. The only prime minister to ever be born after an independent Jamaica. He was raised and grown up in a struggle like many of us. You know, And while the same Jamaicans are bad mind saying, we ain't get so much money from, it is okay for you to rise from the ground and get rich. It is okay for me and you to born in a ghetto and make something of yourself and become rich. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're doing it legally. There's no evidence to say Andrew Holness has stolen anything from the Jamaican people. Since I've been born, MPs have been paid millions of dollars, whether from $1 to $2 to $3 million of dollars. You know? And Andrew Holness had spent 30 years almost as a member of parliament. You know? Or a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. You know, persons would have pulled string for him, obviously. Just like persons would have pulled string for persons in the PNP as well. You know, he was one of Edward Seaga's henchmen. You know, he was trained by Edward Seaga. And now we are seeing a lot of Edward Seaga's attitude in Andrew Holness. You know, one of the last thing Edward Seaga said to Andrew Holness was, Edward Seaga told Andrew Holness to remember, you know, in whatever you do, Andrew Holness, remember the poor. Look after them. Edward Seaga was the only prime minister to go and live amongst the people. You know, down there in Tivoli Gardens. He actually lived there with the people. You know, he had an apartment there. You know, so he was proper down to earth. His mother and father is from Jamaica. His lineage is from Jamaica. You know, we cannot say the same for Bakra Masa. You know, I can go now. I can tell you now which school Edward Seaga go. I can show you a picture of Edward Seaga in khaki shorts as a youth man growing up in Jamaica. You know, we can show you videos with Edward Seaga as a young man growing up in Jamaica. We cannot see any of those evidence for Mark Golding. Where is he from? Did he drop from Sky? Is he an agent from the UK? Is he MI6? Is he MI5? Who is he? Who is Mark Golding? We don't know. But we can trace Edward Seaga's lineage. And we can trace in childhood, coming to adulthood, you know, until he died and buried on Jamaica soil. And I'm calling and charging my government now that at the beginning of the next term, when we win the third term, you know, Edward Seaga should be moved from the most honorable to his right excellence. You know, he should become a national hero. You know, and Michael Manley should not be a national hero. I am going to state that clear now. Michael Manley should not be inferred as a national hero at the same time as Edward Seaga. Michael Manley had destroyed the Jamaican economy and destroyed the lives of many Jamaicans. 500,000 Jamaicans were traced out of Jamaica, run away, told to leave their homeland by Michael Manley. So if you ask me, Michael Manley was a terrorist. See, he should not be inferred as a national hero. Plain and simple as that. See, now I am charging anyone PNP this morning to come on the live and challenge me on some of these points, you know. So any PNP that is out there this morning that want to come on and challenge me and some of these points that I've made, you know, we are open to conversation. I have invited Chantel, you know, and he's yet to accept the invite. What is that? Stephen say, or Stevan say, me turn a blind eye to the real issue. So Stevan, the floor is open, or Steve, any way you pronounce it, send a request and come and tell the people what the real issues are. Are there poverty in Jamaica? Yes. Are there absolute poverty in Jamaica? Yes. Andrew Holness can't change that in 8 years. Is there abject poverty in the United States? Yes. Is there abject poverty in Germany? Yes. You know, I went to Turkey several days ago and I took some videos of some places in Turkey. You can't believe they look worse than Jamaica. You know who to believe it. A matter of fact, I'm going to post another video there later on and show you Turkey, a military power, a first world nation, a rich nation. See? So while there are good parts in Turkey, just like there are good parts in Jamaica, there is also absolute poverty in Turkey also. See? Is there absolute poverty in Britain? Today, the British people is struggling with the cost of living. We are struggling with, rent. Rent continue to blossom and bloom out of control. The British people is suffering greatly up here in the United Kingdom of a not so Great Britain anymore. See? Are there people struggling and suffering in Canada? Yes, they are. But look at the great strides that we have made in Jamaica. We are 60 odd years old. You know? And government gone by have failed the Jamaican people. You know, and this government is making the effort and making great strides to uplift the lives of the Jamaican people. You have some big stinking sour people who are lazy and thinks the government will come here yard come give you and BMW and bill house give you and give you free money if you go to supermarket. Get up and go look work. Dog shit. Drunk crow. And lift up off our government, make them fix up what place give we. When them build a road, it benefit all of us. When them build a new hospital, it benefit all of us. And while we are in hospital, the People's National Criminal Organization has never built a hospital in the entire Jamaica. Not even one. See? So nobody come try to stir up my anger. See? Don't look dirty PNP. See? And don't perplex I and I tranquility in I Sunday. And don't let I and I get out. See it? So he was born in Boston to Jamaican parents that make him a Jamaican. You know? That make him a Jamaican. Mark Golding was born in London, England to British parents, both white. That does not make him a Jamaican. That make him a British national. As a matter of fact, that make him English. Because you can only be British if you are not white. See? If you're white, you're English. Mark Golding is an Englishman. See? So he will not rule over us. And we, the Jamaican people, will not allow it. And that we say, and that we mean. The PNP, them is running away from the discourse, guys. I see several labor rights waiting to come in the box, but I am trying to open up the floor to a PNP so I can have a one-on-one conversation with the PNP so they don't feel like they are being ganged upon. You know, I am trying to be fair to a PNP. So, at the end of the day, all of us, we are Jamaicans. You know, some of us have different ideology. I find their ideology skewed. I find it weird. You know, I can't understand how somebody would not want to see, their country, upgrade. But, it is down to them. You know, a lot of people live in a garrison. They have had the opportunity to leave and they chose not to. You know, that means your life continue to stagnate because you are not willing to grow. You know, and if you got a chance to lift up from out of a garrison, take that chance. Go uplift yourself and try to pull your family member them behind you. See? Because we see a lot of people make you out of a ghetto, stayed in the ghetto and end up dead. Because persons that they grew up with don't want to see them advance and make something of themselves. And that happen on both sides. See? So, we can be fair. We can be fair and we can tell the Jamaican people as it is. A lot of persons missed this morning, a lot of information that was disseminated. However, I'll do a brief summary of it. We chronicled the life of Edward Seaga and the work of, well, not the life, but the work as Prime Minister of Edward Seaga. Big up yourself in Victoria. He was a great man. He had saved the Jamaican people from going down the road of communism. And should we had gone down that road, Jamaica would have been seeing abject poverty, I am sure. Because when Edward Seaga came back to government, he had to borrow loans, but, he integrated the public and the private sector. So much like what we are doing today, you know, and this is why we are using Jamaican money today. We don't have to take any loans today for majority of the stuff that we are doing. Now, is there something inherently wrong with taking a loan? No. Rich people take out a loan all the time to safeguard their money. See? And use their money to do their thing that they want to do. You know? So there's nothing inherently wrong with taking a loan. However, the Jamaica government has sought to turn Jamaica into a business itself. The Jamaica business is churning. The engine is steaming and running full steam ahead. See? So we are getting money from growing our GDP. I am still waiting on a PNP to come and challenge me this morning with a vibrant conversation. We can't bother with Mr. Chantel because Mr. Chantel's reasoning ability is of a 3-year-old. You know, we can't bother with Diego this morning. Diego's reasonability is also of a 3-year-old. You know, these persons would have skipped infant school, went to primary school, not go to school every day, went to high school, drop out by 9th grade, and did nothing with their life. And today they blame the government for not making something of themselves. You know, when I was growing up, my stepmother and my father sit to it. That's me go to school, I go to my lesson, them, I go to my class. I had to present my books. When I come in the evening time, I have to present them for make them go through if you see what go on at school today. We need to go back to that now as parents. You know, this is how we're going to sit to it. That's where you them get at least a okay education where they can left school with at least 1-3 subject where they can go join the police or go to army or something. You know, so if you're not doing that as a parents, you're failing your children. Make certain you don't get up and start do it. And I have to fly chief phone and bite out somebody neck chin. See? When you look after I pity them, they're my future. They are the ones who come up to be doctors and lawyers and nurses and police officers and the military. We need those services. Bankers and all of that. See? So, when you do no part, and stop ask government to play a role for no picking them and no breed and get them. Government name did it somehow no mama when no kin out to no crutches. Government name did it. And no dirty papa when no come and could jaw out. The government name did it. And look half how no pitney them. For me have to fly chief phone and pluck out somebody eye. Cause I'm violent, you know. Oh, a joke. Anyways, you know, the Jamaican people, I believe in the next 5 years, we'll see, you know, a lot of growth. And we will all benefit from it. Right now, I know by the time I come home, you know, the Jamaican, the perimeter road in Jamaica should be open. And, you know, I should get to drive on that shortly. You know, I've driven on the north-south already. You know, I've driven to Portland. I've driven to Ocherias. And that road that the PNP said was a highway, the North Coast Highway, that is nothing but a dual carriageway. So we are waiting on this government now to upgrade that into a 4-lane highway. You know, the PNP has neglected. Why am I keep calling them the PNP? They are no longer the PNP in Jamaica. They are the PNCO. We need to start make certain so we practice that, Jamaicans. PNCO. The People's National Criminal Organization. Headed by the mafioso boss and his underboss, Mark Golding and Peter Bunting. See? And a henchman, Dayton Camber. They are called, you know, say it with me. Type in a comment section. PNCO. Let me say their name, Jamaica. They are the PNCO. People's National Criminal Organization. See? And we see them time and time again. Also, I want to point out something in the clip that we played of Edward Seaga. Edward Seaga would have brought the fleet up of police vehicle in that time to 800 and odd. Would have seen Andrew Willis purchase some 1,437 brand new police vehicles between 2016 and now. You know, and there's more to come. Also, the government need to hold officers accountable. Whenever they scratch, put a little scratch on the vehicle, he must come out of them paycheck. Then we start take care of them. Now, if them in a chase and they get damaged or destroyed, then we can see with that. But if they're in a normal course of duty and they weren't in no chase or nothing, and they get damaged, then if we pay for sir. Plain and simple as that. We cannot allow them to continue to destroy with things them and it come out of fuel pocket. That money could have got built somewhere else and build up something else. See? Like I said, guys, when I know the PNP, them usually afraid of my life because, you know, them can't roll out the information like we can, you know, or as fast as we can, you know. Me a search in a search bar now to see if I see any one PNP that I recognize that want to come up. But however, we are not going to stress it any further. They do not want to come up, so